All right, today we're diving into something really fascinating, a class of molecules with a seriously complicated past. I mean, they were once at the heart of ancient rituals. Then they were banned, pretty much demonized. And now? Well, now they're making this incredible comeback in the world of medicine. So let's get into this remarkable story of rediscovery. For literally thousands of years, certain plants and fungi have been used to alter human consciousness. And now, after decades of being completely sidelined, science is taking a serious second look. And make no mistake, this isn't just some new trend. It's the revival of a very, very old practice, just now being viewed through a modern clinical lens. So, how did we even get here? To really understand what all the scientific buzz is about today, we first have to jump back in time. We need to trace the wild journey of these substances, all the way from sacred ritual to total restriction. Way back when, early societies didn't think of these things as recreational at all. In fact, they had a specific name for them, entheogens. And the word itself kind of gives you a hint about their purpose. It wasn't just about altering consciousness. It was about creating a bridge to the spiritual world, a tool to, communicate with the divine. In these ancient cultures, it was the shamans and the healers who were really the gatekeepers of this knowledge. These plants weren't used casually. They were a core part of spiritual life. They were seen as teacher plants, passing down wisdom and healing practices from one generation to the next. And then the mid-20th century hit, and everything changed. These molecules just exploded into Western culture. They captivated artists, writers, thinkers, all kinds of people who saw them as a tool to unlock creativity, a way to quite literally think outside the box. But this cultural boom, it triggered a huge backlash. By the early 70s, governments were imposing incredibly strict bans, labeling psychedelics as dangerous narcotics. And this move didn't just stop the counterculture's fun, it slammed the door shut on legitimate scientific research for decades. It kicked off a period that I think of as the Great Freeze. But after all those years in the dark, that door for research has finally started to creak back open. So let's take a look at what's actually fueling this modern scientific renaissance and why scientists are suddenly so interested all over again. So what's really driving this comeback? Well, the answer is kind of surprising. It's actually a crisis in a completely different area. For years, the pipeline for new psychiatric drugs has basically run dry, leaving doctors with really limited options for treating mental health. This slump in innovation has forced pharmacologists to look backward, to reevaluate molecules that were put on the shelf decades ago. And the result of this renewed focus is crystal clear. Just look at this. The number of scientific papers on psychedelic therapies has more than doubled in just 10 years. This isn't just hype. It's a measurable, full-blown explosion of scientific interest. Now, the modern approach is worlds away from both the ancient rituals and the 60s parties. It's called psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy, or PAP. The key word here is assisted. The molecule is given in a controlled clinical setting, but it's just one piece of a much larger puzzle that includes professional therapy sessions before, during, and after the experience. And the potential uses here are just incredibly broad. Early clinical trials are already showing real promise in treating some of our toughest mental health conditions. We're talking everything from addiction and major depression to PTSD and maybe even delaying cognitive decline. It's pretty amazing. Okay, so the potential is obviously immense, but the path from promising lab results to a treatment you can actually get from your doctor, well, that path is really long and it is packed with some major hurdles. So, this brings us to the big question, right? We've got these promising results, but what really needs to happen before these treatments can become a safe, reliable, and mainstream part of modern medicine? What do we need to figure out? Well, researchers are basically facing 4 huge challenges. First up is standardization, making absolutely sure every single dose is pure and perfectly formulated. Then there's safety. This means proving they actually work in big, double-blind human trials. That's the gold standard. Third is sustainability, which is a massive issue we'll touch on in a sec. And finally, you have structure, figuring out the exact right dosage and the therapeutic plan for every single condition. And just to give you an idea of that sustainability problem, take the peyote cactus. It's the source of mescaline, and it only grows in a few specific deserts. Get this, once a seed sprouts, it can take up to 20 years for it to mature. You just can't build a scalable new branch of medicine on something that rare and slow-growing. It's a huge problem. So overcoming all these challenges is not going to be easy.
It's a long road, and it's going to require a level of collaboration across different scientific fields that we've really never seen before. No single expert can solve this puzzle alone. I mean, think about the team you need to assemble. Mapping out this future is going to require a true all-star team. You're going to need psychiatrists, clinicians, psychologists, pharmacologists, and chemists, all working together, all on the same page, to really understand the potential and the limits.
Which leaves us with this one last pretty fascinating question. We have this ancient wisdom, thousands of years old, that's now being put under the microscope with all the rigor of modern science. So if we can actually manage to merge the two successfully, could we unlock an entirely new future for mental health care?